Today, we're back on our 55 F100 and we've got Ford Racing's brand new control pack for the 3.5-liter Ecoboost engine. We'll get the ECU installed and the wiring harness laid out in the engine bay and install a custom exhaust. Then we're headed to the Matco Tools Expo, this year in sunny Orlando, Florida. It's all today here on Truck Tech.
Hey guys, welcome to Truck Tech. Well, today we've got our 55 F100 back in the shop. And for you guys that have been following this build, you know that our drivetrain is complete and installed. And it consists of a 3.5-liter twin-turbo Ecoboost V6, 5-speed manual transmission, aluminum drive shaft, and a custom-width 9-inch rear axle. And with that stuff taken care of, we can get to work on some of the supporting systems. We want to install our engine wiring harness and PCM, make a custom exhaust system to hang off the back of our little baby turbos, and hopefully make a little bit of progress on the fuel system. But the first thing I'm going to do is find a home for the battery. Now, if the primary goal of our old 55 here was to set it up for drag racing or autocrossing or something like that, we'd be trying to place the relatively heavy battery underneath the bed floor somewhere to try to counter some of the drivetrain weight up front. It'll give us a better balanced truck. But this thing's not a drag truck or a road racer, so we're going to be installing the battery on the passenger side frame rail right about here, which is a good spot. It's about the halfway point of the truck, and it's not too far away from the starter. To do that, we're going to be using the stainless steel battery box we picked up from Rusty's. After making sure the battery box was flush with the top of the frame rail, like how I wanted it, I clamped it in place and used the battery box as a template to mark the holes to be drilled. Now there's plenty of mounting holes to choose from. We went with 4 of them that hopefully won't interfere with the base of our Optima battery. After drilling the holes, we can get to work on installing our threaded inserts. This is a very clean looking method of mounting things or attaching them to the frame rails. You can feel when the rivet nut kind of bottoms out. Now both the engine wiring harness and the controls pack harness plug directly into the PCM. On the controls pack side, we've got plenty of length that doesn't hinder PCM placement at all. However, on the engine side, well, we're limited to a radius of about 2.5 feet from this connection here at the valve cover. Now, I could put the PCM right here underneath the floorboard. It'd be a good spot, but it's a little too close to the heat-producing turbo. So what I think we're going to do is mount it high on the firewall, but not on the outside. I'm going to put most of it on the inside of the cab and cut a hole just large enough for this black plastic connector portion to stick through. Should look pretty clean. Something about like that. All right, that'll be my starting point. And working off that starting point, I'm just measuring over and up enough and making an opening just large enough for the connector to poke through. All right, now I can connect the dots. And those small holes drilled in the corner will act as stopping points for the straight cut from the cutoff wheel. For the vertical cuts, I'm using a body saw, which is a little easier to manipulate. And after drilling a couple of holes, we had our PCM bolted down and secure on the inside of the firewall. Doesn't look too bad. Get rid of the white label, a little black wrap, make that disappear. Won't look bad at all. Now, harness connections and component locations on the engine pretty much dictate how the harness needs to lay out in the engine bay. On this branch of the harness, we've got connectors for the AC clutch and pressure switch, the starter solenoid, and our electric fan. So this portion of the harness needs to stay on the passenger side bank of the engine. Over here, we've got connectors for the alternator, which is obviously right here, and sensor plug-ins for some of the turbo plumbing, which isn't here yet. Now the rest of the harness is made up of a fuse and relay block and the portion of the harness that passes through the firewall and goes to the inside of the truck for connections inside. So now what we need to do is find a home for our fuse block, which I think right here looks pretty good. And after drilling a couple of holes, I'm securing the power distribution block to the firewall with some nice looking chrome button head fasteners. Now remember, when using chrome fasteners, a little anti-seize will prevent thread galling. Then I can pass the portion of the harness that goes to the inside through the opening in the floor. Now, this won't be its permanent location, but will help us figure things out for now. Now a couple of these connectors go to pedal travel sensors, and after fabbing up a bracket, we'll have a home for our throttle pedal. Back underneath the truck, we can finally install our Optima red top battery and secure it.
Leave all the caps and all the protective stainless cover on right now.
Next, we can work on our power and ground connections from the battery. Now the main power feed coming from the battery is going to go to this power distribution junction or terminal mounted here on the inside of the frame rail. And after drilling and tapping a couple of holes, I can bolt it down to the frame rail and then get to work on the ground junction. Now since we had some rust preventative coating on the frame rail, I wiped it clean to get ready to TIG weld a T-stud directly to the frame. This will ensure we have a good solid ground connection. Then I can temporarily install our power feeds and start temporarily bolting down the ground connections. Now one of these grounds obviously goes from the battery to the welded on junction here on the frame. The other cable runs from that same junction, but this one goes up to the engine block, or pretty close to it, to provide a pretty good ground for it. Now included with the controls pack harness is a 4-gauge wire and fuse to feed the power distribution block. This wire comes from the battery source, this wire goes to the power distribution box, and we've got it mounted to the floor of the truck.
After the break, we'll fab up a custom exhaust, and later we'll visit the Matco Tools Fair in Orlando.
Hey guys, welcome back to the shop where we're making some progress on our 55 F100. Now you guys know this is going to be a long-term project for us. It's going to be here a while. We're juggling other trucks and there's a lot of work left on this one. So to help us visualize what this truck's going to look like when it's finally done and to provide a little bit of motivation and inspiration, we had this cool rendering done by the guys at Hermance Design. And after a quick discussion on project plans and going over things like paint color and wheel choice, here's what they created. So if you've got a long-term project that you're working on, it might be beneficial to get a rendering done. It could be just the thing that lights a fire underneath you and motivates you to get it done. Now the next thing we want to tackle is the exhaust system, but clearly they don't make a bolt-on kit for a 55 Ford that's been fitted with an Ecoboost engine, so we're going to be on our own to make one. And to do that, we wanted to use some high-quality stainless steel, not just for durability, but for good looks as well. And we didn't order a universal exhaust system. We went to Magnaflow and picked up the parts and pieces we thought we were going to need. We picked up a couple of flared sections that will attach to the flanges on the back of the turbos, along with a couple of bent up sections of 2.5-inch tubing that we can cut up and make work. We also picked up a Y-pipe with 2.5-inch inlets and a 3-inch outlet, along with a 3-inch high flow converter. We also picked up a few sections of 3-inch tubing. Now, one thing you don't see here is a muffler. I love the Ecoboost engine, but if I have one complaint about it, it's the sound that comes out of the tailpipe. So we're going to see what it sounds like without a muffler. If we don't like it, well, we can just use this straight section of tubing, cut a section out of it, and add a muffler in. But I'm kind of curious to see what it sounds like without one. To get started, I'm attaching the flared pieces to the flanges on both the passenger and driver side turbo. Then I can go off that and work towards the passenger side frame rail using a couple of different bends. A couple of fusion welds will hold the tubing together without making anything too permanent. Then I can reattach the flared sections and continue. I'm making a couple of marks on the tubing so I've got a good idea of where things lined up and I don't make any mistakes. Then, before I get too far on the driver's side, I'm switching over to the passenger side, since both pieces of tubing will run into the Y-pipe, and I don't want them running into each other. After making the passenger side downpipe, I can pick out a location for the Y-pipe. I do want both of these engine banks merging into a single exhaust pipe as quickly as reasonably possible. We're going to be running a single catalytic converter, and it needs to be as close to the heat-producing engine as possible to be efficient. And after figuring out the passenger and driver side downpipes, I can use this small section of a 45-degree bend to finish things up. A couple of quick cuts and a couple of quick tack welds make things semi-permanent. Then I used a short section of 3-inch diameter stainless tubing to give us the necessary clearance for our football-shaped catalytic converter.
That'll be a good spot for our cat.
After that, I can determine the outlet of the exhaust.
It's gonna kick out like so. I need a piece 22.5. Straight pipe, 22.5 long.
Now, just like the rendering shows, we want to take the exhaust out of the side of the truck and through a relief cut in the bottom of the running board. But the running board hasn't been modified yet to match our custom widened rear fenders. So there's no point in me coming in here and hanging a tailpipe. Once we get the running boards modified, we'll make the relief cut, hang the tailpipe, and be done. At least for now, I can remove the rest of the exhaust system and get it fully welded.
All of our hutches now on the 4S, 4.8 inches taller.
Coming up, behind the scenes at this year's Matco Tool Fair.
Tools of the trade are a mechanic's lifeline. And with Matco as our exclusive mobile tool provider, we can't wait to see what's new on their trucks this year.
Welcome to the Matco Tool Expo.
And one perk we enjoy is the invitation.
Morning, sir. How you doing?
To their annual tool fair and business conference. This time at the Gaylord Palms in Orlando, Florida. Filling these shoes are 1,600 or so distributors, men and women, husbands and wives who drive the famous trucks and fill orders every day. And business is booming.
Things are going fantastic. We are at an all-time high in terms of new distributors starting with us. Sales are up double-digit. It's a wonderful thing.
The week begins with a big attaboy from Matco's Top 30.
We did it. You did it.
This is what everyone strives for, a chance to be recognized on stage as a top earner. By far, the highlights of the Expo are the training sessions and the rollout of new and improved products. Impacts with greater breakaway torque, custom graphic welding helmets, the affordable Maxme Diagnostic tablet, and about a dozen others in the show's Power Alley.
I get a ton of new product knowledge from Expo, what's new on toolboxes, the VersaPowers, big jump boxes. They can weigh 60, 70 pounds, and now you can throw this little itty-bitty box in your glove box. Guys own construction companies, have 3 or 4 of them. And when it's 10 below zero, it's amazing what they do.
Okay, so what you're going to do is...
Thanks to lithium polymer technology, Matco's new line of mini-volt power banks will please even the youngest Matco customer.
Oh, and when you have kids and you're all watching devices, that's just perfect for them to have that and be able to charge it, because you don't have to, Dad, it's going dead.
We've introduced a new line of cordless. It's a 16-volt Infinium line, has a 2.0 battery. Kits come with 2 batteries. Very powerful ratchet. We've got 70 foot-pounds of torque, the most powerful ratchet on the market.
We've got a lot of new features in our boxes this year, right? It's not just any old toolbox. All of our hutches now on the 4S, 4.8 inches taller. Our 5 and our 6S, 2.5 inches taller. We've got convenience power right up front in every single rollaway now. We've got an integral power drawer so you can lock up all your chargers and all those Infinium tools that you've got. You don't want those tools to walk away at night when you're not in the shop, right? So you can lock those up and they'll be charged and ready to go in the morning when you get back. We've got LED lights in there with a proximity switch so it turns off and on depending on whether you have it open or closed. These features, the ones we've integrated this year, have been the single most requested feature set that we've had for the last 3-4 years. And they're still all made in our Jamestown, New York plant.
So tell me about the Maxme.
The loudest buzz at the Expo is all about the Maxme. This pay-as-you-go diagnostic tablet is for the technician who doesn't want to shell out big bucks for software he'll never use. You only pay for the car makes that you work on every day. With this product, Matco made diagnostic scan tools affordable for everyone.
So if a guy's in the shop and he doesn't work on anything but a Ford vehicle, he can subscribe to one make for as low as $20 a month. And there's a flexibility that allows him to upgrade to cover a whole region, such as Asia, Europe, or domestic, at a low cost as low as $60 a month.
It gets a lot of the younger techs involved in it and gets them into thinking that they could have a scan tool of their own, so they're not sharing a scan tool, they don't have to borrow the shop scan tool. Updates are lightning fast, you just touch it and it's within a minute.
Next, we'll go inside the Matco family.
Some are satisfied working for others, punching a clock, being told what to do every day. Not these guys. They're some of the 1,600 franchisees, owners of their own Matco Tools distributorship, like Brad Taylor, a Marine vet who found a new career.
Matco really means everything to me because it has provided me an opportunity to provide for my family in a way that I never thought possible before.
My name is Bill Marcano. I was a tech for 10 years. I was the foreman of a dealer for 7 years. I got tired of making them money and decided I want to do my own thing and have more time with my family. So I entered into a Matco franchise, and it was the best decision I've ever made.
My business is doing pretty good. Started in November.
This was Josh Curry last year, a little nervous just starting out. This year, he and his wife Jessica and their son Trent were up on the big stage, collecting their award for top 30 in sales.
The biggest thing that I would say that most of these top 30 guys do is service. Service is what sells. The difference between me and the other guys is the guy driving the steering wheel. That service that you provide, that's how you make it.
You know, they want to own their own business, and that's really what's at the core of this whole thing, are people that are motivated and want to own their own business. So regardless of what age, that's essentially what we're offering.
Matco is family.
They help you along. Everybody, it's a big family.
I'm glad to be in the Matco family.
It's a common theme here at Expo, seen on the walls, in the Hex logo, even on the NHRA dragster. Names of every distributor, now riding with Antron Brown to the finish line.
When you see them come here to Expo and you see them bring their family and they become a part of the Matco family, it sends tickles through all of us, like, you know, especially for me, because I drive for them.
One of the best things is our motorsports program. We have the best spokesman in the business with Antron, and when we come to these tool shows, when we go to the races, he treats us all like family and lets us know that without us as dealers, there is no race team, there is no Matco Tools without us dealers. And they let us know that on a regular basis.
Bill is one of many of Matco's young rising stars, and Rebecca is right there with him.
It's a lot of work to be where he is today, but we've done it together. We partnered together, we worked together. We have 2 beautiful children that help with the business. They're out in the truck with him every day, loading it. So it's just, you have to work together to be successful.
In some ways, I'm glad I waited till I hit my 40s to buy my own business. But knowing what I know now, I really wish I would have done it younger, because I'd be that much further ahead. It's an awesome business. With the tutelage they get from Matco, they're gonna be successful.
And you're in it for what?
Life. Life now. I mean, once you tattoo it, it's done.